Dana White's Contender Series 2022 Week 2 full card prediction. I believe you went 3-1 on Week 1 last week for the Contender Series, and we did very, very decently on that card. This is Week 2, and we got some returning fighters known as Duncan and Shimon Smotritsky, and both returning fighters are underdogs, which is very, very interesting. All the underdogs are on the right, all the favorites are on the left for this topology, but we're going to do a full card prediction for every single one of the fights. Let's get into the first one here in the welterweight division. Billy Goff and Shimon Smotritsky in the welterweight division. Now, this is a iffy fight. Shimon is young. He's 21 years old. He's taller. He's lengthier. Somehow has the same amount of experience as Billy Goff and has fought in the Contender Series before. He got guillotines by Mike Mallet right there. But Billy Goff got good ground and pound on the ground. So even if Shimon goes out there and is able to use good wrestling, good grappling to get this fight to the ground and maybe try for a submission, maybe a ground and pound and things like that, it's not going to be good, because if Billy Goff is able to reverse that position, the man's ground and pound is vicious. And cardio-wise, Billy Goff definitely has the advantage. He's got really good ground and pound, and he's got the better striking. So a lot of things are leading me to believe that Billy Goff is going to win the fight. Because on the feet, if it's 3 rounds of striking, I'm going to go Billy Goff. He's faster, he throws more volume, and he's got the better kicking game, in my opinion. He's just more technical in the kicking aspects. I do believe he's got the better ground and pound, but not the better grappling. So again, striking wise, Billy Goff has the advantage. Power wise, Billy Goff has the advantage. Finishing ability, Billy Goff has the advantage. Ground and pound, Billy Goff. And then grappling goes Shimon Smotritsky. But again, cardio also going Billy Goff. So it's a close fight. Betting odds have it. What do they have it right now? Minus 159 for Billy Goff right there as a slight favorite on those betting odds. Fight to go to a decision is plus money. I think the fight does go to a decision, and I'm going to go with a favorite. Billy Goff, I think he outstrikes him on the feet. I think Shimon will attempt a few takedowns in this fight, which are going to gas him out a little bit, and in the later rounds, Billy's going to capitalize on it by getting the fight to the ground. He's going to get on top of Shimon Smotritsky, and we may see a ground and pound TKO. I'm going to change it. I was going to go with decision, but I just remembered what Dana said on the last week of the Contender Series, saying that you got to get the finish to get inside the UFC. So I'm going to go Goff by ground and pound TKO plus 170, and I'm going to go for him to win in round 3 plus 750 right there. That's my prediction. I'm going to go Billy Goff with that ground and pound TKO in round number 3. The minus 159 slight favorite to kind of wear on the gas thing of Shimon early, use his better striking, and then take him down later on in the fight and ground and pound TKO him in round number 3. Billy Goff with a TKO. Waldo, Cortes, Acosta, and Danilo Suzart have we say that in the heavyweight division, winner will be inside the UFC. I guarantee you, but Waldo is a very good striker with amazing, in my opinion, good takedown defense on a 5-fight win streak with a few boxing bouts and kickboxing stuff in here as well. But he's got very good striking, coming off a good knockout win over Thomas Peterson right there. A fight that I actually predicted Waldo Cortes Acosta to win. I bet on him as well. I think I put like $50 at that plus 185 tag. The reason being is because he's got a good gas thing. He's a very technical striker, and he can definitely hit you. He likes to kind of play technical for a little bit, get your back to the cage, and once he finds you in a vulnerable position where your only way out is to either you have to throw some big bombs, or you have to go for a takedown, or you just have to run away from Waldo Cortes Acosta. He's very good at getting his opponents backed up to the cage where they're in that predicament where, what do I do? Do I go for the takedown? Do I just start throwing bombs and hope I don't get caught like Juliana Pena did this weekend? What am I going to do? Waldo is very good at getting his opponents in that situation where their back is to the cage and he's just throwing and picking his shots very precisely, landing the kicks, landing his jab, his overhand, his uppercuts, and things like that. Does very good on that. So I think Waldo is going to do exactly that in this fight. Danilo Suzart, his main path to victory, in my opinion, would probably be to pressure Waldo Cortes Acosta and use some wrestling and grappling, get the fight down and win that way. I don't think it's going to happen. I think this fight stays on the feet, and because Dana wants finishes. This is the heavyweight division. I'm going my boy Waldo Cortes Acosta to get Danilo Suzart back to the cage and just start wailing on him. Knockout round 1 or round 2. Francis Marshall and Connor Matthews in the featherweight division. 30 years old and 23 years old. Taller, but I don't know what his reach is, so I don't know if he's lengthier or not. But it's a decent fight. Two guys, very low level, very unproven, with good records, not against good competition. I mean, this man beat Jay Ellis about a year ago, so again, not the best competition, but all wins less than a half of a round into round number 1, even in his amateur MMA career. And oh my god, look at the amateur MMA career. Got knocked out in 4 seconds by Shannon Suarez right there. I mean, that is insane. 4 seconds in 2011. And then he got knocked out by Jimmy Wilson right there in the second round. But this is an interesting fight. I think Connor is going to win this fight all day in round number 1. Round 2, round 3, that's going to be where Francis Marshall really starts to shine in this fight. Francis Marshall, in my opinion, has the cardio advantage. He's got good jiu-jitsu of his own. He's got very good wrestling, very good grappling. And I do think this fight is really going to be Connor going out there, round 1, throwing some bombs in this fight, trying to knock out Francis Marshall and get the knockout, whatever the case may be. That's what he's going to be trying to do in this fight. But Francis is going to eat those shots early on, survive, and in round number 2, round number 3, use that wrestling, use that grappling, and win a decision right here. But you never freaking know. It is one of those fights where both guys have a lot of finishes, and I'm assuming, betting odds-wise, they're probably saying this fight is not going to go to a decision. Yeah, plus 190 to go to a decision. I think it's pretty iffy. I mean, I can definitely see Francis Marshall going out there and getting a finish pretty easily in this fight, but I can definitely see a decision here. It really comes down to, will the cardio hold up for Connor long enough to survive not getting submitted in those later rounds? But they both have padded records. Someone's saying in the comment section they have padded records. They both do. They both have very padded records. Even Francis is fighting some pretty bad opponents right there. So I think this fight, surprisingly, I was going to say goes all the way, but I think we see a late finish. Francis wants to get that contract, wants to impress Dana, and he's going to finish him in the later rounds. We'll go 3rd round submission for Francis Marshall right here. Good fight in the UFC's, Dana White's Contender Series featherweight division. Shannon Ross and Vinicius Salvador in the flyweight division. We all know the UFC probably wants Shannon Ross to win this fight. Put him on an Australian fight card with Alexander Volkanovski, maybe a New Zealand fight card as well at the same time. Get Kai Kara France, Israel Adesanya, all on the same card. They're trying to get Shannon Ross in there on one of those cards. They want him to win. Vinicius Salvador, they didn't even put his age on Tapology right here. I mean, this dude has been fighting such padded record, guys. 0-1, 0-1. I mean, literally 2 months ago, he fought a 0-1 guy. He's losing to Rafael Filho. Not the worst opponent right there, but come on, man. He's got such a padded record as well. Like, another fight where we have super padded record guys on Dana White's Contender Series. Now, Shannon Ross' record is not the most pretty. I mean, these first 5 wins right here against pretty much bums. These ones as well. But recently, he has been fighting some more decent guys. Charlie Alaniz, a former UFC fighter. Paul Loga, and then Donovan Freelo. But it has been 2 years since he has fought. And it has been a while. So it's a tough one to predict for the fact that Vinicius has been fighting more recently, but against horrible competition. And the Shannon has been fighting better competition, but he has not fought in about a year and a half. So it's tough to gauge where both guys are going to be at in this fight, what they're going to look like in this fight. But I do think that Shannon Ross is going to be the more technical striker. Vinicius is not. He's more of a finisher. He goes out there looking for the finish, trying to get that knockout, round 1, round 2, get the TKO. I think he has a good shot of doing it, but Shannon Ross is a much better striker, much more technical guy, and I do believe he could mix in some takedowns here as well. I think this one is going to be pretty one-sided for Shannon. I think he's the better striker. I think if there was more volume, he's got more speed, and then I think he can take him down as well. Wherever he wants to fight, he can take the fight, and I think he's going to grind on the ground. I do not see a finish in this fight. I know a lot of Contender Series fights, we love to see those finishes and things like that, But it's also for the other guy that's about to get finished. They're trying to do everything they can to not get finished, because if they do, there's no way Dana is going to get them in the UFC. So this is a tough one to predict. I think the odds should be a little bit closer, given Vinicius Salvador's finishing ability. I do think he has more of a chance to get the finish, but I think Shannon just grinds his fight with mainly wrestling and grappling, a little bit of striking, and wins this fight by a unanimous decision. Charlie Campbell and Chris Duncan in the lightweight division. Chris, at 29 years old, not as tall and not as lengthy. First off, is going to be the head movement of Chris Duncan. Not much. I'm going to be honest. There's not much head movement there for this guy. I mean, he got hit a lot against, a good striker, a very legit guy in his last fight in Salvador. Then went out to get a unanimous decision win on Jonathan Carlos. Very, very solid. Very good wins there. But he's very, very hittable, and I don't know if his chin is that bad, but Slava was hitting him with some good shots, but they weren't like super winding up, just big old shots from Slava Borshev in that fight. And Charlie is a good enough striker to go out there and get a knockout on Chris Duncan. Is very, very possible, but I don't think Chris Duncan's going to get knocked out twice. I really just don't see that happening. I mean, Dana White's Contender Series main events are usually barn burners, and they're really, really fun fights, really good striking. It's just a banger of a striking match every single time we see guys that come in on the Contender Series main events, and I think that's exactly what this is going to be, but I don't expect the finish. I expect Chris to be coming forward, get in the clinch, just trying to use his wrestling and grappling like he tried to do with Slava Borshev. But I think Charlie Campbell's going to go out there, defend those takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, use his height, use his reach, and kickbox Chris Duncan at range. He's a lot faster. He's got better head movement. And like I said, Chris Duncan is very, very hittable. He's not a guy that's out there moving his head very well. He doesn't have a good striking defense at all, in my opinion. So I do think Charlie Campbell's going to outstrike him for 2 out of 3 rounds. Duncan will win one of these rounds using some clinching, landing some big shots and things like that. But 2 out of 3 going Charlie Campbell in the fight of the night. In the lightweight main event right there, Charlie Campbell by a unanimous decision. Those are the full card predictions. I got Charlie Campbell by a decision right there, although that is a very, very close fight. I got Shannon Ross winning that one by decision. I got Francis Marshall by a submission, Waldo Cortes Acosta by knockout, and then Billy Goff with a TKO later on in the fight in round 3. Now for confidence, most confident to least confident, number 1 is, of course, going to be Waldo or Cortes Acosta right there. Number 2, we're going to go Billy Goff. Number 3, we'll go Shannon Ross. Number 4, Charlie Campbell. And number 5, Francis Marshall. That's most confident to least confident. Those are the predictions. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, put your predictions down below, put your bets down below. I'd love to see them. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.